Okay, welcome to another episode of Blueprints to Punch List. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different where we're going to take you back through how Ken and I got here through our journey in construction, what led us here, what were some of our trials and things that we learned along the way, and just to give you guys a little bit of insight into who we are, and we'll go from there. So, Ken, you and I have been working together for 7 years. I know a lot about you, but I don't think I really fully know how you got started, how you ended up with Wilson. And if you want to just go into sharing a little bit about your story, would be, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, definitely. I love this. And I'm actually being sarcastic there. It's much easier, to talk about construction, talk about business than it is myself, but I'll give it a shot here. So my introduction to, I guess, the overall construction industry was, back in high school, really. I had a friend who, his dad owned an HVAC company, and on the summers and when we have time, we'd, run duct, go on attics, do odds and ends jobs, through high school, would get hooked up with different folks, whether it be, folks that flip houses, do renovations, minor stuff, but a little bit of everything. As I moved through high school, I was able to see some of the mechanical side of things, electrical, and just overall building construction, mostly on the residential side of things. I then, once I graduated, went to school for a few years, came back and started to work. And at that point is when I got into mainly the pool business, both commercial and residential, mostly residential. Started cleaning, servicing, repairs, then got into, the renovation and building of custom pools and did that for a while. Went back to college, went to UCF, graduated UCF with a business degree, integrated business over there, and started looking. So for me, the familiarity of construction kind of naturally led me to look at construction. Now with, my degree, I was more looking at something on the office side, which I had not done before. Most of my experience in construction has been in the field, but ultimately over time that has proven to be beneficial. But so at that point in time, I was looking around, having a hard time finding something. That was back in 2018, I think. Trying to find something, and ultimately through a family friend got connected with the president of Wilson & Company, Barry Henderson. And at the time, Wilson & Company wasn't really looking for a PM. Barry kind of took a chance, gave me a shot, and I guess the rest is history, I would say.
Oh, that's awesome. So you started in high school, and out of school, you went into the pool business, got your degree, and learned through that, and then ended up here on the GC side.
Yeah, and on the pools, I certainly managed some stuff, you'd say, but I was in the field, right? So
learning the ropes.
I'd say the moving onto the office side was a learning curve, but through school, I did get a chance to look at a lot of different aspects of project management that gave me some familiarity to go into it with, and then really leaned heavily on just my understanding of construction that I had built up over the years, and working kind of all different aspects, which kind of gave me the ability to jump in and run with it.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, yeah, I mean, my story parallels somewhat to that. I didn't get started in construction in high school. It was much later. I was in my late 20s. Actually, it was July I mean, my first day on a construction job site was July in South Florida, cutting ductboard. So I had my arms just completely covered in fiberglass and in the scorching heat, working through that. But I was at a point in my life, I was married, we were about to get married, and my wife was like, girlfriend or fiance at the time was like, you need to get something serious. I was kind of just doing odds. I was doing a little bit of marketing, a little bit of this and that, but nothing consistent. And then a friend, it was a coworker of hers that actually had an opening that they were looking for this job in Jupiter, Florida, where an AC company again had bringing on a couple of people for a big project, and that was the start. So my first day, I really wasn't sure if I'm going to go back the next day. Literally, the guy that I was working with at the time told me that, look, fiberglass does not come out of your skin if you're in the shower and you're like rubbing your arm. So you have to like just do a certain way to clean yourself off. And it was brutal. I don't like the heat that much. I like it hot, but I don't like the heat when it's, 100 degrees plus 100% humidity. Yeah. But it was a good learning experience. They brought me on. It was about 6 months later after that project was wrapping up, and I had a conversation with the owner about what was next, what was coming up. Is this like a temporary thing? And he actually brought me into the office to learn a little bit on the office side, to do the paperwork, to start scheduling a little bit. I think just taking that initiative was something that he was open to. Taking a chance, on me, like so many times, like I think in construction, but it parallels to in life too, where you have to basically just show that initiative, go the extra mile, and the people who are looking for talent, they will recognize that. It might not be day one, day 30. It might take a little bit of time, but people will recognize that when. And I'm not saying I had talent. I just know that I was willing to work. I asked the right questions.
Sure. Willingness, right? Sometimes it's the willingness.
Yeah, 100%. So started again 6 months later. I was in the office. A short while later, I actually became the general manager. I think within the 2 to 3 years I was in there, of the service side of the business, running our crews, scheduling, selling, clients and coordinating all of that. And so, I mean, I do give a lot of credit to Tim Travers with Travers Air, because he's an excellent operator when it comes to running a business. And it really taught me a lot about the way to think about this industry from the perspective of, scheduling your crews, scheduling job sites, running some of these job sites that we were on together. So it definitely helps having the right mentors along the way as well. And I definitely want to give a shout out to Tim for everything that he taught me while I was with that company. So yeah, 6.5 years. We had a baby. We sold our house down in West Palm Beach Gardens area, and was just looking for a fresh start. Moved up to Orlando. Actually took a little bit of time off. And one day I was driving around Orlando and actually saw Wilson and Company's sign on the side of the road. Or I was driving by their office, and I was like, I made a mental note, like, oh, okay, that's cool. They're up here. We worked together with Wilson many times on different projects, and it's interesting as a subcontractor, and you probably relate to this too, but there's always that 2 or 3 GCs when they call you that you're going to pick up the phone and get to whatever they have going on because of how they operated. And that was Wilson. So I had that background. I had a little bit of familiarity. And when the time came, I just came in the office. I didn't know Barry. I knew of him through Tim, and just had a conversation to see if there were any openings similar to you. And it was the same. Barry took a chance on me as well, to come in and bring me on as a project manager, even though, per se, I wasn't probably a qualified project manager at the time. But what I found is that, one, when you do see people who are ambitious and wanting to take that next step, a lot of times you just have to give them that chance if the opportunity is right to let them come in and see if what they can do. I'm very grateful. I mean, I think Wilson is a great company. Barry, is a great person, and a great business leader to lead this organization. But yeah, that was for me. It'll be coming up, I think 8 years this May, 2026. So
Nice.
It's been a long time. It seems like.
Sure.
Yeah, but there's a quote that I always remember is that, you can work for many different companies, right? But to find a good leader and to find a good management, that's really hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those of us that stick around and really value that, whether it was for me with Traverse or Wilson, it really helps that who are the people that you're working with, and who are those leaders that you're surrounded by every day, because they're going to make your life really easy, or they can and they can also push you to get to that next level. But yeah, that was how I looked at that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's not always easy, right? But it's typical. And I would butcher the statistics, right? But there are some out there. The majority of folks don't leave companies; they leave leadership, right? They leave managers, they leave people. So yeah, couldn't agree with you more there, and a big reason why I think we have the success we have here, right? And certainly a lot of parallels to the story, but overall sounds like somebody took a risk, and we took advantage of the opportunity presented to us, and here we are.
I think one of the reasons I wanted to do this episode is to encourage the younger generation, or maybe those, for me it was my late 20s. Ken, you were in your teens when you were first introduced to this industry of construction. There is a lot of opportunity here that doesn't get talked about enough. And one of the reasons that I wanted to have this conversation is that our journeys are not necessarily parallel, but if you're somebody who's looking for an opportunity and you want to put in the work, and you're not afraid to roll up your sleeves and get to work, there is opportunities here, and it can be very lucrative. It can make a lot of money doing things in construction. And whether it's on the subcontractor side, on the GC side, every aspect of it, but it doesn't go without work, right? Like you can't be afraid to roll up your sleeves and get to work. It's gonna be miserable some days. My journey is not rosy all the way through.
Yeah. It can be outright brutal at times, right? But some of the most rewarding stuff, for me.
Yeah, when you look back as a whole, absolutely. I mean, I had, again, imagine South Florida, middle of summer, you're in attics, changing out air conditioners. it's not fun, and it's not for everyone. But if you're willing to make it happen and you're willing to get after it, there is, again, I just want to stress, there is tons of opportunity. And so, yeah, we're always open to, if you are watching this and you're interested about this industry in any way, whether on the GC side or, hey, how do I become an electrician, or how do I become a plumber or an AC guy? Like, we have people in our circles who, if it's maybe, again, not on the contract or GC side, we can connect you with some people and introduce you to those conversations. So please feel free to reach out to us, send us a DM, send us an email. And I'd love to have those conversations, because there is not only is lucrative, but there's also a huge need for the trades that are just, it's a massive gap that will need to be filled, and AI is not going to do it.
Yeah, right. AI will help in the activities, right? But it's not going to replace the activities, replace the people, especially electricians, plumbers, the people that manage the aspects of it that kind of bring it all together, right? It's I think it's certainly here to stay. The need is big, and to your point, there's an ever growing gap in labor. Thank you guys for tuning in, taking the time to listen to a little bit about our story here. As always, please like, subscribe, share, get it out there, tell your friends, and certainly reach out to us either on LinkedIn or through our website if you have any questions, whether it be about potential work or potential job opportunities as discussed today, or just questions. Give us a call, give us a like, follow, DM, email, whatever it may be. Thanks.